New York football has been very bad over the past decade, well, excluding the Buffalo Bills, who are the only team that actually play in New York, ironically. But anyway, the Jets and the Giants started playing at MetLife Stadium since the 2010 NFL season. Between the Jets and Giants combined, there has been one home playoff game between the span of 10 seasons, which is essentially 20 seasons if you look at it that way.
First playoff game in MetLife Stadium.
In that one playoff game, the Giants did beat the Falcons 24-2, but to have one playoff game in that amount of time is just not good enough for two teams. Now, luckily, the Giants were able to win a Super Bowl in year 2 of their MetLife Stadium tenure, but since that time, the Jets and Giants have combined for a 108 and 180 record since the start of 2012. I'll say that again, 108 and 180 record since 2012. Since 2017, the Jets and Giants have tied for the worst record in the league at 18-46 over the past 4 seasons. But maybe, just maybe, New York football is finally turning the corner. We all know how important coaching is in football, and it seems as if maybe both teams finally found their head coaches. Since the departure of Tom Coughlin in 2015 and Rex Ryan in 2014, neither team has had a head coach for more than 4 seasons. They've gone through Ben McAdoo, Pat Shurmur, Todd Bowles, and Adam Gase in basically half a decade. We've already seen Joe Judge in New York for 1 season, and although it was a 6-10 record, Judge is changing the entire identity of the Giants and bringing back that old Giant way, if you will. Judge is the perfect mixture of a player's coach, but also won't put up with any nonsense. Judge showed he meant all business from his first introductory press conference when he made half the Giants fan base want to run through a wall for this guy. He's even made some changes that may go unnoticed, like changing the Giants' travel schedule for away games that require air travel. Since 2004, the Giants have had the same routine of arriving the night before a game and then leaving the night of the actual game. Under Judge, the Giants now fly out early on Saturday mornings and stay the night of the game, which is something the players really seem to like. Like any coach, Judge needs talent to win, but you can argue he overachieved by going 6-10 and being so close in many of those games in 2020. Judge doesn't have the title of an offensive head coach or a defensive head coach, but someone that's more of a CEO that overlooks every area of the team and lets his coordinators work in their areas. For the Jets, they hired Robert Salah, a guy that's been a part of some impressive defenses like the Legion of Boom in Seattle and most recently the 49ers. Under Salah, the 49ers have basically improved on defense every year, and he's been one of the best motivators in the league as well. If you've watched a 49ers game in recent years, you've probably seen a guy that looks like Mr. Clean about to rip out of his shirt on the sidelines, and yes, that's Robert Salah. Under Salah, the Niners defense ran a 4-3 defense with a wide 9 look, meaning that their defensive ends play more outside the tackles than usual and have less responsibility in the run game. Sometimes this puts more pressure on your interior guys to stop the run, but guys like Quinnen Williams, Shelton Rankins, and CJ Mosley will have something to say about that. The Jets actually had a good run defense in 2020 despite going 2-14 overall. Like Joe Judge, Salah really impressed in his press conference and instilled hope in Jets fans, which is the complete opposite of what they saw from Adam Gase when he was hired. We'll start with the Jets free agency and some of what they have to look forward to here in the near future. On the first day of free agency, they made 2 big signings, wide receiver Corey Davis and defensive end Carl Lawson. Not only did the Jets desperately need help in those areas, but they got pretty decent value for those guys as well. Lawson for 3 years and $45 million, while Davis was 3 years and $37.5 million, which shouldn't be considered breaking the bank for either player. They also signed former first-round pick Jared Davis from the Lions on a 1-year deal. Carl Lawson is a guy I'm a big fan of and even made a video about him, calling him the hidden gem of this free agency before it even started. The Jets have been starving for pass rushers for a long time and may not have had a defensive end at this level since John Abraham left for the Falcons in 2006. Lawson is one of the better pass rushers in the NFL when healthy. He led the league in quarterback knockdowns in 2020 and was near the top in pressures as well. For Corey Davis, he's a former 5th overall pick that may have suffered from a run-heavy team that was quarterbacked by Marcus Mariota for majority of his time there. Davis is coming off a near 1,000-yard season, a career high, but was also forced to miss 2 games due to COVID, so he probably would have got it anyway. Davis is not the best at a particular thing, but he gives the Jets a big body wide receiver on the outside that can win contested catches and has sneaky yards after catch ability. Ryan Tannehill had a 123.6 quarterback rating when targeting Davis last season, so when he was targeted, he did some nice things for Tennessee. Davis joins a wide receiver core of Jamison Crowder, who's underrated in the slot, as well as year 2 receiver Denzel Mims, who was a former 2nd-round pick in 2020 and showed some flashes of being good when he was out there. Some other signings they made was defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, a former 12th overall pick with New Orleans in 2016. In 2017 and 2018, Rankins was living up to that hype as a first-round pick, but a torn Achilles in 2018's playoffs really put a damper on his progress as a player. Now a full 2.5 years removed from the Achilles injury, you think that he can get back to the player that he once was. Sometimes it takes players a long time to get back to full strength and to be able to play freely without thinking about that injury. Rankins is still just 27 years old old, and playing next to Quentin Williams and Carl Lawson should help out a lot. LaMarcus Joyner was signed for a 1-year deal from the Las Vegas Raiders. Joyner at one point was a very solid free safety for the Rams, but after signing a 4-year and $32 million deal with the Raiders, they changed his position to slot corner. In 2017 and 2018, Joyner played free safety majority of the time, and that's when he was at his best. Joyner's average PFF grade from 2017 and 2018 was 82 as compared to 50.6 in 2019 and 2020. The Jets seem to want to put him back at safety, so if he plays that way he did a few years back, they'll get an incredible return on this investment. They also signed wide receiver Keelan Cole from Jacksonville, who's someone I'm a fan of, especially as a wide receiver 4. Cole's a good route runner, has good separation, and has reliable hands as well. They added some decent depth pieces like Tyler Kroft at tight end, Dan Feeney on the interior offensive line, and running back Tevin Coleman, who has familiarity with this Mike LaFleur scheme if it's anything like Kyle Shanahan. Coleman has been in Shanahan's scheme on separate occasions, including San Francisco and Atlanta. Now he joins a similar zone running scheme in New York. The Jets also franchise tagged standout safety Marcus May, and based on safeties having a low franchise amount, it seems like the right thing to do. I did always believe that Joe Douglas had a plan, and Jets fans are starting to see that this offseason. We'll see what the Jets do with number 2 overall in late April. I'm a big believer in Zach Wilson and think he's going to be the right pick, but we'll find out what they do soon. As for the New York Giants, they now have 2 really good free agencies in a row, which is hard to believe based on how terrible the first 2 were under current GM Dave Gettleman. Last offseason, they signed the likes of James Bradbury and Blake Martinez, and both looked very good in their first season for the Giants. Their 2020 draft is still yet to be known. They still need to see more consistency out of their 4th overall pick Andrew Thomas. Guys like Xavier McKinney need to stay healthy in year 2, but they did see some positive signs out of guys like Matt Peart and Darnay Holmes in the 3rd and 4th round who showed some promise as rookies. Now in 2021's free agency, they were able to land the biggest wide receiver on the market, quite possibly literally the biggest guy on the market, in Kenny Golladay. The Giants have needed a legit wide receiver 1 since Odell Beckham was traded 2 off seasons ago. They've had decent production from guys like Sterling Shepard and even Darius Slayton at times, but nobody stepped up as a consistent wide receiver 1. Golladay spent most of 2020 injured with hip and hamstring issues, but now just at 27 years old, he's only missed 1 game combined in 2018 and 2019. The Giants need 3rd-year quarterback Daniel Jones to take a big step next season, and signing Golladay was the best way to help ensure that. The next big free agent signing they had was former Titans cornerback Adoree Jackson. Current Giant Logan Ryan said he tried to recruit guys to play here, and he was not kidding. With him and the help of Jabril Peppers, the Giants were able to land Jackson on a 3-year deal. Jackson played at a very high level his first 2 seasons in the NFL, but since then the former 1st-round pick has dealt with knee and foot issues. So while the move may be a bit risky, he's still just 25 years old, and the Giants put themselves in a real position to have a top 5 secondary in football by next season. The Giants had some problems at tight end last year, mostly due to the mistakes made by Evan Engram, but they helped shore up that position by signing 10-year veteran Kyle Rudolph. It did come out that Rudolph does need foot surgery unfortunately, but he should be ready by week 1. He adds a set of very reliable hands which the Giants need. He's a good run blocker and a good red zone weapon along with Kenny Golladay. They made some really nice depth signings that are really low risk and high reward moves, like defensive lineman Afadi Adenabo, who had 10.5 sacks the past 2 years, quarterback Mike Glennon, who was actually decent for the 1-15 Jaguars in 5 games last year, linebacker Reggie Ragland, a former high 2nd round pick, a good tackler, a former Super Bowl champion, wide receiver John Ross, who we all know about, a former 9th overall pick, a 4.22 40 time, a guy who just needed a fresh start somewhere else, and recently defensive tackle Danny Shelton, the former 12th overall pick, who's been solid throughout most of his career. It really all comes down to Daniel Jones and the Giants offensive line, but it seems like the rest of the Giants roster is finally in good shape heading into next season. So maybe there's finally some good football on the horizon for New York. We should find out very soon. The Jets have a very critical draft pick ahead of them at number 2 overall, and the Giants have a chance to get a really good player at number 11 overall. Funny enough, it was the Jets last year who picked 11th overall, and they turned that pick into left tackle Mekhi Becton, who looks like a franchise left tackle if he can stay healthy. The Giants even held the 2nd overall pick just a few years back, and although it's a pick that can alter the future of a franchise, I see no problem going with Zach Wilson there. So let me know in the comments, do you guys buy into the Jets and Giants becoming good football teams over the next couple of years? Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like and subscribe for more NFL content, and I'll talk to you guys next time.